Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
Hello everyone, this is Jefferson County with What's Happening Birmingham. Today I have the honor and pleasure of being with Judge Martha Cook. She is here today to talk about her upcoming campaign that she is running for judge on March 3rd, 2020. And you all know that I first started this podcast off by interviewing judges. So this is full circle. And Judge, good morning, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, so before we start, just tell the voters a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I'm Judge Martha Cook. I'm a native of Selma, Alabama, and I moved to Birmingham to go to law school and have been here ever since. So I'm very fond of Birmingham and am loving meeting people in Jefferson County.
All right, and before I start, this is my first time ever being in a courtroom and actually interviewing a judge, so this is really neat. I love to be in a courtroom, and my legal welfare is not at hand, so let me first start off by saying that as well. But so you're running for a full term as judge. Tell people, what type of cases do you usually hear?
Okay, and let me give you a little bit more background on my legal background, if you don't mind, because I think it's important to what cases I hear.
Okay.
So I practiced law for 23 years, and right before getting the appointment that I'm in now, I was doing mediation work, which is instead of representing plaintiffs and defendants like I used to do for 20 plus years, I was hired to mediate cases. So I would work with parties, sometimes up to 5 different parties, and we would try to reach a resolution to the case. And why I bring that experience up, is because as a judge in district court, the kind of cases I hear, my mediation experience has been invaluable. It is, I had no idea how much I would use those skills in this courtroom, and here's why. Because in district court, it truly is the people's court. We hear cases, there are 3 judges, Sheree Grant, Bentley Patrick, and myself, and we randomly get assigned cases like eviction cases, landlord-tenant cases where someone may have failed to make their rent payment. Well, the landlord's not going to let them live there for free.
I know that. Right.
And in Alabama, to actually get someone out of an apartment or a house that they're renting, you have to file suit and get them basically set out. Now, what I try to do in my courtroom is make sure none of that happens, because I don't think it's a good thing for anyone to literally be thrown out on the sidewalk with their belongings. So my court allows me to get the parties together before we try the case, because when you come to my courtroom, we're going to try your case that day. So I try to give people a chance to settle their cases, meaning, work out a payment plan or work out a voluntary date that the tenant would leave instead of the sheriff knocking on their door at some time in the future, and it gives them a little bit more certainty. So those cases, the landlord-tenant cases, are the big bulk of what we hear up here on the 5th floor of the courthouse. And the other cases we hear are collection accounts, where people may have taken out a loan or taken out a credit card and didn't pay the debt. And so the credit card company, again, is not going to let you just, not pay your debt. And so they often sue in this court. Now, an important point about this court is the cases have to be a dispute of $20,000 or less. So that's important because, like down the hall, I know another judge is beginning a jury trial, and she's a circuit court judge. We do not have juries in district court. Things move a lot more quickly for that reason. And with the lower, $20,000 is still a lot of money, but compared to what the circuit court judges hear, it's a lower amount, and so we can move the cases along a little bit more quickly. And that's the whole purpose of people's court, is that people get a chance to be heard by a judge, and I certainly treat them fairly, whether they have a lawyer or not. And then we get a resolution quickly to your case. Each of us have about 6,000 cases assigned to us that we're in charge of. So you don't want those stacking up on your docket. You may get a call from Montgomery, "Hey, Judge, move these along." So we do try to move things along carefully and quickly, so people can get resolution to their disputes.
So in your opinion, since you've been in this position, what qualities and qualifications voters should look for in this position of judge?
Well, I think the top qualification is legal experience. I think being a trial attorney for 20 2 years really before I became a full-time mediator has served me very well because, as I said, we try cases right there on the spot.
Okay.
So you need to know the rules of evidence, the rules of civil procedure. And when you have what we call pro se litigants, that means someone that's not represented by an attorney, they don't know the law, they've not been to law school, and in this court, that's okay. But at the same time, I have to be firm to let them know we got to respect the process. This is not Judge Judy. It is not TV.
Yeah, what they see on TV. Yes, yes.
And I get asked that a lot.
Okay.
Are you like Judge Judy?
Okay.
And sometimes that helps people understand about it being people's court. So I like the reference, but I explain, no, I don't, get on TV and decide cases that way. But we do have people coming in here to get their cases heard on everyday matters that truly affect their lives. One lady I had in here recently, she couldn't pay her rent because she had to pay her light bill instead. And she's a young single mom. And, once she admitted to me that she had missed 3 payments, I knew what the only choice I had under the law was to find her in breach of her lease.
Okay.
But I did get her to go talk to the landlord's attorney again, and they worked out a payment plan.
Okay.
So that gives you an idea of how, again, my mediation skills as well as my litigation skills allows me to know what the law is going to require me to do to the person sitting in the witness stand based on their testimony, but also give them a little bit of equity in that, before I make my ruling, ma'am, I want you to go talk and see if y'all can get something worked out. So that goes to my litigation and mediation experience, which I think is truly important in this courtroom. You have to be a people person as well, which I very much am. As you see, I like to talk.
Yes.
But the other thing is temperament.
Okay.
I think a temperament is hugely important in this, a good temperament, a good rapport with people, as well as a calmness, because I know it seems serene in here right now, but I did not have cases set today. But on days where we have a heavy docket, it literally is just, amazing how different parts are having to be moved around, because as I'm calling my docket, I need to know who's here and who's not. I give people that are stuck in traffic a little bit of time, and if they get here, we hear their case then. So it gets a little crazy sometimes. So your temperament and your time management skills are important, both of which I'm blessed to have. Patience and empathy. Those are some of my top qualifications, and I think they are the ones you need to have in this court.
Okay, so one of my favorite questions I always like to ask people that's running for judge or people that's currently judges and people who are watching right now is, what should I expect if I have to come in your courtroom?
Okay, great question, because I do talk about that a lot when I'm out campaigning. First of all, if you don't have an attorney, you can expect to be treated as if you did. Because again, it is people's court. So I don't hold it against anyone if they can't afford a lawyer or they choose not to hire a lawyer. That is their choice. One thing I do want to talk about before we close. I have this here, and I'll talk about it briefly in a minute, but I want to let your viewers know about the Civil Help Desk, and it has been a help to me and to litigants, people in my courtroom that don't have a lawyer. But when you come in my courtroom, I will call the docket, meaning the sheet that I have cases set, and you just tell me if you're here or not. And then I know from the docket whether you're representing yourself or if you have an attorney, his or her name will be there. I'll let you know that we're going to try to get a resolution between the parties. If y'all can't resolve it, and I can't force anybody to settle, then we're going to try your case that day. And then they, one party sits at one table, one another, and we literally try their case right then and there. And there are rules of evidence that have to be followed, but of course I'm lenient in explaining to the non-represented person that here's how we're going to do this, and I make sure they don't interrupt the other party, and that the party with an attorney is not allowed to interrupt them as well. So all in all, I treat people very fairly, and I want voters to know that, because I think it's important, especially when you come in the courtroom without a lawyer. It's a little intimidating. It may be your first time here, and I don't want it looking scary to anybody, because it's not. But we are going to have a method to the little bit of madness sometimes, and we're going to hear the docket, and you got to have your documents ready. I want people to know that. You need to, you can't just come up here and say, Judge, this happened. You need documentation like receipts. Look
in the cameras at receipts.
Receipts are important. Any kind of documentation of work that was maybe done on your car, your home. A lot of times I get cases filed against a remodeling group that maybe didn't finish the work, or and the person bringing suit had already paid them. So please bring your documentation if you come to my court. Any witnesses that you may need that can, back up your testimony. They need to be here and prepared to testify. Sometimes I have cases, sadly, that involve a police report. Those need to have the policeman who wrote the report here present in the courtroom. And that happens and is necessary sometimes in the landlord-tenant cases I talked about, because not only do tenants get sued for not paying their rent, but sometimes they have violated the rules, criminal mischief, or being too loud, or things that may cause a police person to be called. And if they write out a report and you want that report brought into evidence, you need to have your police officer here as well.
Okay, so let's talk about this great program that you have.
Do you want me to hold it up, or?
No, you can hold it up.
Okay. Well, this is the Volunteer Lawyers Program, and it's the Civil Help Desk. And what that means is, and that's what this sheet tells a little bit about, and I keep it in my courtroom, for low-income residents of Jefferson County who need a lawyer but can't afford one, that this is assistance provided to them on Tuesdays and Thursdays of each week up here at the 5th floor of the Jefferson County Courthouse. And the volunteer lawyers are a group of lawyers that work for big firms, small firms, solo practitioners volunteer, but they give their time back to the community by coming up here. And for people that come in the office on Tuesdays and Thursdays and say, hey, I have a case down in Judge Cook's office and I need some help. They do a short intake form to make sure they qualify based on their income, and then they will assign a lawyer to help them with that dispute. And sometimes it may be as simple as helping the tenant or any other person in a lawsuit fill out an affidavit and have it signed by a notary that could then be used as evidence in a case. Or the lawyer may actually, I had this happen recently, file a notice of appearance, meaning they are making an appearance and will be here for trial to represent that person. So it is a great service that we provide, the Birmingham Bar Association provides through their Volunteer Lawyers Program. And I just want people in the community to know, and here's why. When I first took the bench, I walked down there to speak to some of the volunteer lawyers and say, hey, I'm Martha Cook, I'm new up here on the floor, I look forward to working with y'all. And there were no clients. And I thought, well, this is a great service we have, but if the residents of Jefferson County don't know it's out there.
I don't know anything.
Right. And believe me, you're not the first. When I take this sheet or talk about it at neighborhood meetings or churches, people go, that's wonderful to know. Now, they probably hate me down there because now they're overflowing, but, that's the reason for this service. And I think, it does a disservice if we're not helping people for the purpose we built this program. And sometimes they are overloaded with people and have to cut people off. And, because they only have a set number of volunteers that day. But it is a wonderful program. I've seen people come back to my courtroom after getting a lawyer and handling their cases with that lawyer, and it can make a huge difference.
Just out of curiosity, not do a percentage, how many people actually come in the courtroom without an attorney?
With an attorney or without?
Without.
I'd say the majority of them come without an attorney.
Wow.
Yes. Now, landlords usually do have attorneys because they're a business, a group that is a property management group. And if you're a business, you have to have a lawyer. You can't represent yourself as a business. Now, small claims has a slight exception for that, and that means cases 6,000 or under. But anything above 6,000, if you're an entity, a corporate entity, you do have to have a lawyer. So landlords often do, or landlord companies always have a lawyer. But I have some pro se landlords, people that may have bought some investment property and decided they wanted to be a landlord, and they can come in and represent themselves. But most of the time, the defendants, people being sued, come in here and do not have an attorney. Wow. And that's why I want them to be at ease that it's okay. I wouldn't suggest it in circuit court because that's a much bigger money claim. But in my court, I think it's helpful that they can come in here and represent themselves again, because a lot of people can't afford to pay a lawyer. And then if you've brought a claim for $20,000 or less, you're going to have to pay that lawyer a percentage of that if you win. So some people just make the decision on a business decision that
I'm just going to come in by myself I'm just going to.
But it works. I've seen some amazing testimony from people that I think, maybe at night they are going to law school because it's really good. For the most part, people don't know the rules of evidence and don't know and I don't expect them to.
Okay.
But those that don't and then try to take advantage of, hey, I can just come in here and be TV drama like Judge Judy. I quickly put a stop to that and say, we don't operate that way. We will be here for 5 hours if we operate that way. So it does need to be handled as a process, but I do give understanding and a little bit of leniency to those who don't know the laws but are here representing themselves.
All right, so question I like to ask all the judges, why did you choose a career in law?
I wanted to help people.
All right.
And I do have a family of lawyers in my history and a law firm in Selma, Alabama, where I grew up, where my uncle, now deceased, and grandfathers and others. But I really thought it was a great way to help people, and it has been. But what the beauty of it to me, as I look back on my 20 plus years in practice, is I started off representing individuals and businesses in lawsuits. I wanted to be that litigator that was in court or, and all that. Well, that was fun for a while. And then I had babies and now they got older. I thought, with these teenage boys, I want to scale it back and do mediation work. Okay. And that allowed me to help people even more, in my view, in helping them resolve their cases. Instead of being an advocate for one party or the other, I was in the middle helping them.
All right.
And that was a beautiful thing. And then when I was blessed to get the appointment on this job, I realized, wow, this is just a further extension of helping others on a much broader scale, because it's all of Jefferson County. And keep in mind, not only individuals come in this court, but business owners. And, treat them respectfully too, because they are maybe a mom and pop business that got stiffed on a, vendor charging them a fee or, so it's a great way to help people on a much larger scale.
I had something happen to me recently that I was incorrectly named in a lawsuit, a class action lawsuit. So business owners, you be doing everything right. Anybody can put you on a lawsuit.
Right. And I used to tell people when I was practicing law, they'd say, do you think they have a case against me? And I'd say, well, people every day file a lawsuit over anything and everything. Yes, you can be sued for this. Doesn't mean it's a viable suit, but then you got to work through the court system. And I hope you got yours worked out.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I have had people come in here back to the landlord-tenant cases where someone, a friend or a family member, wrongfully signed their name to a lease because maybe they knew that person had better credit or for whatever reason. And that's an example where I helped someone get to the volunteer lawyer's desk so they could get an affidavit to show me under oath. Judge, this is not me. I've never lived at this address. So that happens in my court, mistaken identity or someone taking your identity. And there are ways to get that worked out, but it's a mess. So I hate it happened to you.
yes. Finally got that was in California of all places and everything. So Tuesday, March 3rd, 2020.
Yes.
You run on the Democratic
ballot.
Yes. This is a part of my interviews I'll be doing next few months with judges where I let you make the closing case to the voters. So, Judge, your floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, voters in Jefferson County, I would very much appreciate your vote. I love serving others, and I would love to serve them even more for years to come. Please elect Judge Martha Cook on March 3rd, 2020 on the Democratic primary ballot. Thank you.
And for more information?
Yes. So I have a Facebook page, Keep Judge Cook. I have a website page, keepjudgemarthacook.com. And there are various ways to find me. I know now this will be online as well.
Oh, yeah, and that's forever.
yes. But we do have a website that tells a lot of my background, shows my qualifications, and you can read about me there. And then I'm very active on Facebook, so please look for me on Facebook too.
Well, Judge, thank you again for taking time out your day. Thank you for inviting me to your courtroom without even have to have a case. But thank you for inviting me to your courtroom and everything. And I wish you good luck.
Thank you.
Keep you and your family in prayers in the next few months to go. And you all, please check out what's happening in Birmingham.com for more videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you all again and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.